I'm going to give it the private key. And I'm going to give it the encrypted message. And then we get back hello world as the message that we started with. I want to generate basically the code for a tool. I'm going to call it something like RSA utils. And what I would like is to be able to generate public and private keys and use them to encrypt and decrypt text over the command line. I'd like to write the code in Java and use Maven to build the code and to build the jar that I will be using from the command line. So I will not write any code. I would like to use ChatGPT for the entire thing. So I have a prompt here that I'm going to be pasting. We're going to begin by generating a Java class that will generate a pair of public and private keys. Right, so it's using the RSA algorithm. Okay, so we have an RSA key pair generator, public key, private key objects, and then we have a RSA key pair generator that throws a no such algorithm exception because obviously you're passing it to as a string. When you get an instance of the key pair generator and you set the size to the bits here, 2048 bits, you can use that, or 1024, and then you generate and you get the private, you get the public, and then you're starting them in those private fields, and then it's generated getters for the private fields, obviously no setters, and it's generated main method here. And what is this for? Oh, for printing. Okay, and the way you use it, you create an instance, and then you call the oh, is that in the constructor? Oh, that's the constructor. Okay. So once you create an instance, the whole logic gets executed. I like this. Looks fine. And then it just prints out these things. Okay, so I'm going to copy this. I'm going to run IntelliJ. I'm going to create a new project. Maven, GTK 17, RSA utils. Sure. I'm not really sure what to expect now. Well, there's a POM file. And there is a main class. What's that? Okay, I don't need any of this. But I guess I can keep the main class, I guess. I'll create a new, what was the name of the thing? Oh, sorry, Firefox. So I'll create a class, call it RSA key pair generator. And I guess I can go back to Firefox, copy the whole thing. Oh, okay. Just the package name. Everything looks good. If I move my picture. Yeah. Okay, so I don't need any main method in here. So I know I said I'm not gonna be writing any code, and I'm not. I'm just moving code. I'm gonna move the code. Okay, so I'm gonna move the main method to here. Oh, I see. So, yeah, so this method is private. I might as well just make it public for now. And put the RSA key pair generator here. All right. So if we run this now, what's going to happen? It's generated the public and the private keys. Very good. So that's the first bit of the code. Seems to be running fine. Continuing on, I have this prompt here. I'm going to be pasting over here. So I would like ChatGPT to generate a class in the same style. And by that, I mean that you need to create an instance of the class to be able to access its functionality, to encrypt some string message and print it to the screen. The encryption API for the class should accept the key and a string message. Let's see what it's going to do. So it's saying it's going to create the class message encryptor, and it's exactly doing what we asked it to. So it's created a constructor that accepts the public key, stores it in the instance, and then there is encrypt and print. And of course, the same function it generated before, and so on. So let's take that class. Actually, first, let's copy the name of the class, go back in my IntelliJ, and I'm going to create that class, go back in Safari, copy the whole thing, back to IntelliJ, paste, complain about the package name, adding the package name. Well, this import does not seem to be necessary. And like it did before, it generated some main method that we're not really going to be needing in the class itself. But if you copy that same code, paste it here, you see that it's already using the old class that it generated for us. And that's one of the nice things about talking to ChatGPT, something that you wouldn't be able to basically get just browsing the web, Googling things, is that it's aware of the context. So it knows that it's generated a RSA key pair generator. So in the new code that it generated, it's referencing the old class that it's generated for us. So that's pretty cool. So I don't even need to keep this. I could comment this out and then try out the code, see if it's going to work. Right, so that's the encrypted message. Now we have no way of decrypting that message yet. So let's go back in here. And I'm going to change that prompt. So generate a class in the same style to decrypt some, to decrypt an encrypted message and print it to the screen. The decryption API for the class should accept the key and the encrypted message. Right, so it's generating the opposite for encryption, which is decryption, a class called message decryptor. And if we just repeat what we did, looks very similar, accepts the key, the private key, and assuming that you encrypt with the public key when you send a message to somebody so that only the person with the private key could decrypt that message. And it's the same thing. There's decrypt and print. So copying the name, going back in IntelliJ, creating a new class, message decryptor, Safari, and I'm going to copy the thing, paste it here. Let's complain about the package name, fix that real quick. So looking here, I see that it had not generated a main class that would generate a pair of keys and then use the public key to encrypt a message and then the private key to decrypt it. And then, pass the encrypted message from the encryptor to the decryptor class. So it's really just saying, I'm expecting a literal string here of the encrypted message in hexadecimal format. So what I would like to go back to ChatGPT and ask it if it can connect the three classes that it had generated for us together. The classes being the decryptor, the encryptor, and the key pair generator. All right, so I have a new prompt for it now, and the prompt goes, write a main class that in its main method, you bring the three classes together, starting from plain text, hello world message, generating keys, encrypting, and then decrypting the message and printing the keys, printing the plain text message, the encrypted message, and then the plain text message again. And I'm also saying, please make changes to the message encryptor and the message decryptor so that they return the encrypted and decrypted outputs for this to work. Because if you remember, the API does not return, the function does not return anything, returns void, and it just simply prints that out. So we would like to refactor that logic in order for the flow that we're suggesting to work. So we'll see what it will come back to us with. Starting from message encryptor, I could see that encrypt is now returning a string, and it's gotten rid of the main method inside. And the same goes for decryptor. Decryptor is now returning a string and has gotten rid of the main method. So that looks good to me. I'll copy that, go in IntelliJ. So this is encryptor, pasting here. Still complaining about the package name. Safari, copying the message decryptor. And in here, set the package name correctly. Then going back to Safari, here's the main class. Main class looks like they're generating and storing the public and private keys in local variables, printing them as we have asked it to. The hello world message, printing it, and then using the encryptor, creating a new object and passing to it the public key, and then encrypting the message, which is hello world right here, and then printing that encrypted message out that is being returned thanks to the refactoring of the encryptor, message encryptor. And the same goes for decrypting the message. You start with creating a class, an object, and pass into it the private key, and then decrypting the message, which is the encrypted message here, and then printing the results. So this looks okay. I'm gonna copy that, go in IntelliJ, paste, and we don't have any imports, so we're gonna have to use IntelliJ to import the classes, import, and I guess I'm having to import those because I haven't defined the package. So if I set the package, I wouldn't have to import these guys. Everything looks fine. Maybe we can run. Right, so as you can see, we have a public key, private key, and the original message is hello world, and the encrypted message looks like this, and then the decrypted message is hello world again. So right now we have a working encryption and decryption and key generation functionality that we can use in our RSA utils. So I wrote up this prompt that I'm going to paste here. Basically, I'd like it to turn what we have right now into a command line tool that we can invoke from the command line. This tool will accept three types of subcommands: the command generate keys, the command encrypt, the command decrypt. The command generate keys will take no arguments, will generate a pair of public and private keys using the RSA key pair generator, and then will print the keys to the console. The encrypt function will take two arguments, the key and the string message. Encrypt the message using the key. Pretty straightforward, and it will use the message encryptor class that it generated for us. Decrypt will, similarly to encrypt, will take two arguments, key and the encrypted message, and it will decrypt using the key, the decrypted message, and then we'll print the plain text message to the console. All right. Let's see what it's going to do. All right. So as we can see, it is dealing with the args array that is passed to the main method. We know that this array contains, if should you invoke the Java class from the command line, the main method will receive the parameters in the arguments. Right. So we have the first argument. If the length is more than 0, which means that the user has sent an argument to the program, being generate keys as the first argument, encrypt or decrypt. So it's doing a switch on the args of 0, or the first argument. So the first case would be the generate keys case. And in that case, it's just creating a new instance, getting the public and the private keys, and then printing them to the console as we've asked. And the encrypt, first it makes sure that we have 3 arguments, because you're going to have the encrypt subcommand as an argument. Then you're going to have the key. Then you're going to have the message in plain text to encrypt it. So public key is the argument of index 1, which is the second argument. Third argument for the message, and then it does the job of encrypting, and then prints out the encrypted message. Sorry, here. If you do not pass 3 arguments, then it just complains that you require 3 arguments for this subcommand. Yeah. Decrypt is the same, with the same else invalid number of arguments for decrypt. And here it does the opposite. Yeah, perfect. So it generates the private key based on the key that you pass, and then it uses that to create a new instance of the message decryptor, and then it would decrypt the message and then print the decrypted message. And here, if the default, which is if you've passed the first argument to this class that is not generate keys or encrypt or decrypt, it's complaining that it's an invalid command. Else, which is if the arguments are less than are actually 0, or the opposite of this. So it's 0 or less than 0, but in the case of an array, it can't be, the number of elements can't be negative. It says no argument provided, and then the catch is just simply because of the try here. I'm not sure if there's anything that will throw an except. Oh yeah, this get instance will throw an exception if you pass the wrong thing. So you need the try catch. Here it's using the generic exception. You can probably ask it to be specific about the exception, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to take this, paste it into IntelliJ's main class here. I guess I need to redefine the thing. Yeah, so it's missing some imports, but like at this point, it written the whole thing for us. So I'm really not going to be complaining about having to push a few buttons. And I'm going to try and run that. So no arguments provided. Right, so it doesn't matter for now. I want to be able to run it from a command line. So right here, we are working with a Maven-based application. So I'm going to copy this Maven, go back to Safari, paste that Maven POM file. I'm going to say, this is the contents of my Maven POM. Please make it such as a fat jar is generated and allows for running the main class main method when the command java jar RSA tills.jar is executed. Right, so we're basically asking it to modify the Maven script or the Maven file, the POM file, so that when you build the application using Maven, it's going to produce in the target folder like what's called a fat jar, which is like a jar with all the dependencies. So it's leaving comments here so that we know what it's doing. So here we need to specify the main class. Now, I believe we have org.example, and main. So I don't believe we need to make any changes here. Org.example.main. Yeah. And then it's even telling me what to do in order to generate the jar. And it's saying, like we said, in the target folder, it's going to be a jar that's going to look like this. And then we can just use the Java jar to invoke it. So I'm going to copy this back to IntelliJ. In here, I'm going to paste that. And this is complaining about this. Maybe we just need to import. Yeah, perfect. Let's run the application now. I'm going to move myself. So I'm in the command line. I'm in the project directory. So I'm going to go maven clean install. Wow, that was I know it gave us this command to use the assembly plugin and so on, but install will just do the job. And if we go in the target folder, see that RSA utils 1.0 snapshot jar with dependencies has been generated, just like it has promised us here in this line. So to run the thing, I mean, this is target slash, so I guess I'm going to have to back up one location, and I can paste this. And then now we're getting no arguments provided. Please provide arguments. And the arguments are generate keys. So if you pass on generate keys, we get the public and the private keys generated. So let's use the public key to encrypt a message and then send it to the owner of the private key. So same command, but I'm going to paste this first. So here I need to get the encrypt, and then this would be the key. And then after, I'm going to have the message, which is hello world. Right. So that's the encrypted message right there. So what we can do now is do a decrypt. So I'm going to copy it from here. I'm going to give it the private key. And I'm going to give it the encrypted message. And then we get back hello world as the message that we started with. So that's it. We didn't write any code. It was literally just asking ChatGPT for giving it instructions, you know, and it was doing all the work for us. You know, you can apply this to any project that you're working on. Just please make sure that you don't share any proprietary code with it, because it might be used for training the model. And if you enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.